and I am well organized, um, detail oriented, I should say. Um, Complete all tasks assigned, resourceful, um, innovative individual, I feel. My past work experience is I started working for a family business when I was a tween, and I think that's where I learned my good work ethic. And then I progressed to retail positions where I feel my love of customer service came in. My family business was also customer service driven, so I think it was just innate to my nature to be in customer service. My first full-time job was with First American Bank of Virginia. I worked in the main branch. I worked in the office. I started as a clerk and I progressed to become a loan officer. I was in charge of a team of 10 individuals that processed the collection note department. In that capacity, I learned to interview, to write reviews, to train, to become innovative, to learn new ways of doing things. That was, I guess, where I got my feet wet. After I left that position, I started a family and again faulted back to retail part-time positions. We then moved to New York and I started working for the Federal Credit Union Clearinghouse. And in that position, I was a customer service rep on the telephone and I had to take down information to do wire transfers for each of the banks to go to the Federal Clearinghouse. So that's where I developed my listening skills because you had to get every detail because the information that was coming over the phone was very delicate to be dealt with. And it was on a recorded line, and you had to ensure that the money got to the Federal Reserve by the end of that day. After that position, I then started to work for Merritt's Marketing Research. And what that job entailed was we would do customer surveys of people that had interaction with Verizon. Um, I started as, again, a customer service rep, and I became a supervisor of 10 again on my team, and I would have to monitor and give call coaching and feedback on the calls that I heard and how they can improve their calls for the future. I left that position and I started to work at Reserve America, where I was a financial contract liaison and a customer service manager. The financial contract liaison was part of a project team, and the customer service manager was my full-time job. And I'll explain. The financial contract liaison was only utilized when we were awarded new contracts and it was up and coming um, reservation system. And so I would meet with the financial staff to ascertain from them what was required, on their reporting modules and what was required for the state that I was working with, their reporting modules, their financial reporting requirements. Once I obtained that information, I would relay it to our database staff as well as our technical support staff to see if we could implement that. There, I learned how to read database schematics. I also learned how to create mock reports. I learned project management skills. The customer service department was a ground level to a fully operational prospect for me, which introduced me to procedure writing, training, writing modules, and also hiring staff and interviewing staff again, and also giving constructive feedback to make them a better customer service rep. It says to describe a time where I worked with the team well, and I would have to go back to Reserve America and the financial contract liaison position. The reason I say that is I was part of a team that again had to implement the contract by the deadline or the go live date. And there was probably 20 people assigned to this team, and each one of us worked intricately with the other. For example, the financial reporting module was funneled up through to the state. However, each park had their own financial module. So maybe a park ranger wanted to know how many of the campsites on the east side of the campsite were um, or the campground were rented for a time period. They had specifics they wanted done in this reporting module. So I had to work with that team to find out all levels of reporting and the finances. And um, that taught me that there's different personalities and different mindsets to get a project done. However, we all had the same goal, which was to get the project done. So if I had to ask a team member if they could let a piece of their project be delayed so that mine could be worked on, they would relinquish that, and the same would go for me as well. Um, you ask about a time when I had too many things and I had to prioritize. And I would say that the most difficult time with Reserve America was we had been awarded the contract for California, the state of California. I was excited because we got to go to California for 2 weeks. Well, when we got there, again, you're hiring staff, you're training, you're setting up an office. It's a blank slate. And I didn't realize the amount of work that was required to start a full brand new operation. So I worked from 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, usually most days. And we got the training module up. We got the customer service department in place. By that time, I had all the training manuals set up so that it was simplistic. And that was one of the, I guess, benefits of working for this company was they said, write a training module so that anybody who is no experience at all can pick up the paper and follow along and do the task. And boy, did that come in handy with California. That just was a perfect benefit for me and for the California staff. So by the end of 2 weeks, we were almost done. And um, my piece was almost done. The other people were not. So we were asked to stay a third week for the go live date and to help the call center staff get up to the standard that's required to make camping reservations. And that then showed me the reporting module. The state wanted to have some reports run, and so did the parks. The customer service side, the customers, of course, they're brand new to a new call center. There was problems, there was glitches, there was issues, and they wanted to speak to a customer service manager. So trying to balance the two was very difficult. However, the financial reporting was key. So what I did was help the financial reporting module people that we had in place run the reports, explain to them what they were looking for because of the way they asked it. It wasn't the way that the reports were set up, so there was some communication gaps there to help them figure and navigate through that. And then handle the customer service complaints. And those, I just said, look, take a telephone number, tell them we'll call them back in 3 days, and I had a list of customers that I had to call. By the time I had to make those phone calls, the financial module was in place, everybody was happy, and we could resolve the customer service issues. Tell you about a time that I went above and beyond. The Call of Duty would be easy. It's with Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. That's where I learned empathy. And the reason why I say that is I had a customer called me whose daughter lived in New York City. She lived in Pennsylvania and got diagnosed with leukemia, and she had to stay in New York with her while she was going through her treatment. She was overwhelmed with the bills and trying to navigate through her insurance. I offered to become her advocate. She said, "That's great, but it's very difficult to get through to you." So, and she was on a cell phone and she said, "I'm eating up my minutes." And I said, "Well, I'd be glad to help you." I said, "What cell phone company do you have?" And she said, "Well, I have Verizon." I said, "Wow, lucky for you. I have Verizon too." So I gave her my telephone number. And so Verizon to Verizon didn't cost anything, and I could help her, and it wasn't a financial burden on her. The time I worked effectively under pressure, again, was the California Go Live because we had a deadline. The go live date was set in stone. It wasn't going to be pushed back. We had 2 weeks to get it done, and we had it done. Again, it was just training issues and supporting the staff that were in place, but we had gotten the job done. And again, I had to work from like 6 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, but it was invigorating to know that you were a part of something brand new. To show you how I take initiative, I always look at ways to improve our processing. And the most recent one is our pricing structure. When we have to price claims with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, the pricing information is kept in maybe 4 or 5 different locales. And so I got frustrated one day because one piece of the puzzle wouldn't come up on my computer. So I said, "You know what, I'm just going to create an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to put all the pricing flags, all the codes, all the surgical suites and their pricing on one sheet." I did it. I submitted it to my manager. She loved it, and now it's implemented and we all use it. So I'm kind of proud of that fact. Um, is there anything else that you'd like to know about me? I would say that I am innovative. I'm resourceful. I'm not afraid to ask for help or questions. Uh, I am very goal oriented, so you give me a task, my goal is to get it done, and I'll try my darndest to get it done. I'm also working on my associate's degree while I'm working full time, and I hope that you think I would be a valuable asset to your company. Thanks for taking the time.